يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
Are you prepared for Ramadan? From the archive of your Muslimah charity presents the Outlook.
Hello, good morning. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are on another session of the Bounty Charity Initiative for Ramadan. This time around, we are having professionalism in the new normal amidst Ramadan challenges. I'm Dr. Fatimat Adeyemi, a consultant, obstetrician, gynecologist, and laparoscopic surgeon with Evercare Hospital Lekki. To me today are some eminent ladies in Islam. I'll be anchoring and moderating the session today. Could you please introduce yourself, not in any particular order?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wow,
my name is Mrs. Humwani Amotini. I am the Deputy General Manager, Human Resources and Administration in Lagos State Development and Property Corporation. I am in charge of training, and welfare. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Humani.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Dr. Aisha Sharif Kalembi. I'm a consultant ophthalmologist with the Shukroh District Hospital in Abuja. Very nice. Happy to be here.
Wa alaikum salam, Mrs. Aisha, Dr. Aisha. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My name is
Minat Bashir. I am a lawyer. I'm a partner in a commercial law firm called Bangwani Godalo. I have over 2 decades of experience in practicing the law, and I'm very happy and very privileged to be here this morning.
Thank you for attending this morning. Ma'am, another person that will be joining us is the Commissioner for Women Affairs. She's Ms. Ozamat Akinbile Yusuf. We expect her to join us before the end of the session. So I'll be starting with the questions we have, and by the time we round up, we also answer questions for those who will be calling in or writing their questions on the group. So let's start with the Sister Toyin, since you're the last person to introduce yourself. How does a fasting professional cope with work and the challenges of fasting?
Assalamu alaikum again. So I was trying to unmute my system.
All right.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. How we cope.
Yes.
I guess let me start with saying that if you work in a high-paced work environment, really it is difficult. I think it's very important that you first start with acknowledging it's difficult. It is not easy. It is not it is not a walk in the park, So, but and I guess the first thing I would like to say, and I like to think back when I started my career. I don't want to look at it on a high level, but even when I started my career as a junior associate, the first thing that you have to do is you have to seek for some kind of concessions during the month of Ramadan. I mean, I've been lucky wherever I found myself. There were areas, anywhere I went to, I could actually seek for some kind of concession. For example, when I was practicing in Lagos, I sought for some kind of concession, a 2-hour concession, and just, breezing through the Third Mainland Bridge and being home on time just helped me to cope. But then before we even go into that bit, I think that one of the most important things as Muslims and as good employees, we have to build trust and credibility with our employers. So it's like putting something in the bank, putting something in the bank in terms of your work ethics, being reliable, being a hard worker, just doing what is ever assigned to you so that you are regarded as somebody who's credible in that organization. Islam is a way of life. It is everything about us. It is how we eat, how we sleep, how we work, how we work. So even having those work ethics. So we carry our roles, our responsibilities in a responsible manner. This means that the tasks that are assigned to us, we should execute them timeously, professionally. So it's kind of like builds trust and credibility with our employers.
Thank
so that
you.
when the time comes, we're able to then bank on that. Yes.
Thank you very much for that explicit expose on this question. As in, okay, as professionals, we need to be diligent, build trust, and have to do our things the way it's supposed to do, so that when it is time for us to take concession, we'll be giving the good concession. All right, Dr. Aisha, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, thank you. In fact, I agree with her 100%. It's a building block. I consider it a kind of continuous process, so to speak. Something peculiar for me is in the residency program, you don't really have that luxury of adjusting your time. Like when I was in the residency, your time as in having concessions 2 hours before or whatever. But as sister rightly said, when they know who you are and what kind of person you are, I was the only Muslim in our batch. So everything I did, I always had it at the back of my mind that this is a reflection of what they consider Muslims to be, what they must consider Muslims to do, on how they believe that we act. I consider myself an ambassador in everything that you do. So once you're known as someone who is hardworking, honest, integral, you do your tasks assigned to you without complaining, without failure, then it's so whatever happens, you're human. So at some point you might slip. Sometimes you would slip, but they will know that okay, this has to be a mistake, and that understanding is always there. So that's just builds the background, underlying background, and then everything else steps up. You don't allow yourself to be found wanting in any aspect of it. It's difficult, yes, but it's doable. I don't think there's anything that anybody can say I cannot do this. No, you just not found yourself in that particular situation. You would find a way to make it work, basically.
Thank you very much. That's Aisha building on what Sister Tony said. The same thing, consistency in doing the right thing, being known to be diligent in your work, so that when you need some time to yourself, especially when it's Ramadan, you can be giving the concession. So, Sister Tony, can you please?
Yes, well, I would just want to navigate it from, another point of view, because I know that I work with this public service, and in all truthfulness and fairness, I would say that Lagos State Public Service is one of the very few, I would say, that understand the spirituality of a woman, not just that of a man. So being a Muslim is not something that is alienated. Even within my compound, we do have a mosque. So if you do want to pray, you can still pray within the compound. But, I just want to look at it from the point of view of how do I cope, coming from home, tired and everything. How do I cope with the traffic? How do I cope with all these things? My work is such that I deal with a lot of consultants coming in, to sell their products, that is training as well. And I also deal with staff. How do I get to work early? How do I make sure that I interact with my consultants, with the consultants, without being, looking tired and all beat up. Because I mean, the thing about Ramadan, you're going to wake up in the night, you want to do ibadah, you want to cook, and you also want to prepare something, if nothing else, give directions before you leave home, so that by the time you get home, something is at least, on the fire before you get home. So my thought on this is, it is very, very difficult, most often times for women to, to combine all these things together and then get to work. But the main thing, of course, is that when you work with people that are very hardworking and you're a very good delegator of duties, you probably be able to, cope better, meaning that everybody within, that's your space, know that at this point in time, certain people are going to be fasting. Knowing that fully, there's some things that we put in place. For instance, in my department, I'm not the only one that fasts, luckily for me. We have men, women fasting together, and so on and so on. So we do understand, and there's some ibadah that we do, we encourage ourselves to do, within departments. Another thing we try to do, especially, I'll take last year as a very simple example. All the mosques were closed last year. We converge, that is, people within my department, we converge about 3 or 4 of us to pray within the department, in my office. So these are little things we could do, making sure that, we're Muslims, know that there's nowhere a Muslim cannot pray, so long as it's clean. So we try as much as possible to find a place to pray and make sure that prayers are done when we're meant to do. How do we do ibadah in the office? Free times come in here and there. You must have had a list of ibadahs you want to do, even if it's subhanallah, Rasulullah said, do not let your mouth be dry of doing ibadah to Allah. So within the month of Ramadan, some of the things that I feel that, that makes me cope better is knowing that, yes, I can do few ibadah here and there without having to tilt, or steal out of my work time. When I'm working and I have a lag time, I do know that if it's subhanallah, if it's the names of Allah I want to chant, if I can chant, I'm pushing 100, I do. But I don't do it alone, you understand? We always try as much as possible to encourage every other person within their own space, in their free time, to also, do the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Umani. You really delved into it from another angle. And while you were talking, there was a call that was coming in. If the call is still on, can we take the call? Otherwise, you dwelt on, collaboration. Knowing, so part of it is knowing who you are, letting people know who you are right from the onset, and collaborating with others during this time of Ramadan. Since in our workplaces, there are other people that are fasting as well. So if we do it as a group, run with this group at this point in time, they are fasting, let's give them some concession. I think I like that word, concession. I also want to chip into it, as in planning your time is very key. Planning your time. Yes, you have to be known as a diligent person that doesn't, you are not found wanting most of the time. But if you have a planned schedule that you want to do within yourself, you know that at this point in time, I have to have finished all these activities that are lined up for me. I'm coming from my own angle as a doctor. Your Ramadan it might be very difficult, like Dr. Aisha said, because patients come in and out, and not all patients are Muslims. So it's nice planning with the receptionist or the hospital to let them know that at this particular point, maybe your break time, you need it for yourself. And maybe you just go to a corner or with a group of people, do your ibadah and concretize what you want to do at those times. And it would be nice to round up before the end of the day so that you can get home on time to do the house chores. Because as women, we have to deal with ourselves, our husband, our children, and the home as a whole. Now, I would like to put in another question. How does a fasting person cope with work and ibadah, such as recitation of the Holy Quran? It looks like we've already dealt with that along while we were talking, but if you still have anything to put into that, maybe to elaborate more on it. Sister Humani started that already. So, Dr. Aisha, do you have something to say more on that? If you have specific ibadah you want to do during the day?
So what I usually do, something I had, I think that was peculiar for me. This is the first Ramadan I'm going to spend at Shukroh District Hospital, but because I was with University of Abuja Teaching Hospital prior to this, I was on study leave, so I had to commute every day, an hour to drive down there, an hour to drive back. So during Ramadan, those even outside Ramadan, but particularly during Ramadan, that hour I had driving myself most often than not, I used to use it. As sister has said, you don't let your tongue, you
The
can
dry.
yes, your hand is engaged, your eyes are engaged, but your tongue, so you can keep doing your istighfar, keep doing your subhanallah. They might seem like nothing, but the amount of rewards you get from doing that, and that's what I do as I drive all the way, and I drive all the way back, and it's a beautiful feeling that you have doing that, because it's just you, there's no distractions, there's no nothing, and that's what you're doing. And when I'm not doing that, then I have my podcasts. There's so many seminars going on, Mufti Meng, Numan Ali Khan. I love those in particular. So I download them and I play them when I'm, if I'm not doing the du'as in myself, and I listen to the podcast, and that's what I do, engage myself in. Then our sister has already mentioned, it's difficult to control patients. You can't really say it's Ramadan, don't come to the hospital. You can't
Yes,
that,
yes.
you have to go at the same time regardless of, and you have to leave when it's done. So just in between, I usually have those little Qurans that come into two hizbs. I put in my bag every day, so I have a fixed number that I need to finish up for the particular day, so I put them in my bag. So in between patients, sometimes there will be a little lag, or maybe your lunch break, as sister has mentioned, and then I can take it out 30 minutes to, I read an izb or two, depending on how much time I have. That's what I do. And then I come back
Thank
home
you
and
so
run right
much.
straight to the kitchen, but you still doing your subhanallah, astaghfirullah. Anytime you have doesn't go to waste. As you're walking along the corridor, you can be reciting any Quran that you know of head, or any du'as. That's what I do. That's
Thank
how
you
I
so much. That
do.
is quite enlightening. That's one of the things that are very important to us. That's like making the best use of every little time we have. That means we don't have. In short, if this is inculcated during Ramadan, most of the time, like the last Ramadan when it was a lockdown, I would say I had one of the best Ramadan during the lockdown, because the whole family was at home. And what I did then was every morning after Subui, apart from we listening to some hadith, we watch one of the videos, Mufti Menk's videos, we discuss it, and we read the last Jews, everybody. That's just a starting before we now all go and do our various ibadas and do the activities for the day. And I sort of I picked up I was able to substantiate the is it rock prayer. So you sit down till the sun is coming and you say your pray 2 rakah, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, right.
I really enjoyed it. Sister Toyin, could you please jump in and say some things too about this particular?
Yes. Okay. Okay, salam alaikum. Indeed, if I may, if you can just permit me that there's a couple of things that still occurred to me when we're talking about coping with work, and it's just so important that I mention a couple of those things, particularly if we have young lawyers or just young associates in consultancy or anything on the call. I also wanted to just mention very quickly that it's very important that you also build some kind of rapport with your teammates, that is,
Yeah.
the people who are on your level at every point in time, because these are the people that will cover for you when you have to maybe take longer salats, in the sense that, so for me, stepping out, going to pray would mean that I would use that opportunity to also do some ibadah. So I would come back, to the unit room when I was in open plan as a young associate. So when they feel you are credible, when they feel that you also pull in for them, so that's where a quality of being a good team player comes into it. You can't
Yeah.
be in a professional environment and not have team spirit, and it's also encouraged in Islam. That's one. And then secondly, you need to prioritize. When you start in the morning, we know that there's a physical strain during fasting. You feel it in your body. So the first things, you should prioritize your matters, your work for the day. You should already have the very important ones, tackle them first. before the strain starts and you start to feel lethargic. We all have those moments. So that's also an important one. So I just wanted to get those two out because it's occurred to me while we're speaking. So on the issue of bladder and visitation, I just thought that I think the first thing is that you should start with listing goals. You do your schedule. There are all sorts of tools that are there to help you plan. Just like Aisha mentioned, taking advantage of the time that she spent in the car. She knows her schedule, so she can then say, okay, I am going to, do this during this period. You have to be very intentional and deliberate about it. You know that saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. You must, and there's so many tools. They have so many things. Ramadan journals. I mean, it has exploded. It is so much better than when we started out many years ago. There's so many tools, both electronic on your phone, a journal. So ahead of Ramadan, you need to plan. You need to be able to say, this is what the schedule looks like, and so I will take advantage of this, in order to be able to do so. And then I also wanted to address this issue of sometimes people feel they're so concerned with that they're not doing enough worship. They focus.
Hello?
I'm sorry.
Someone is calling you. Let's quickly take the call.
I see.
That will be the first caller for this program today. Can we hear you, please?
Hello, good morning. I'm Liza calling from Lagos.
Good morning.
Mashallah, the discussion is very interesting, alhamdulillah. Actually, for the first time, we have a charity that thinks Muslim women also need to discuss issues. My question here is this. Most of us that normally do leave roster early in the year, we're always allowed to choose our leave. And in most cases, there's always this issue of splitting your leave between Ramadan or Eid al-Adha, because the reality on ground is this: Ramadan takes a toll on every one of us as professionals, and you don't want to come to work and sleep on your decks at the same time. Are there any sleeping acts or productive method that has worked for any one of you that some of us can learn from today? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that question. Yeah. I don't know if we all got that question.
No.
Okay, what I heard from her is that there are some of us, I'm experiencing that for the first time this year, some of us that have to put in a schedule for the leave we have at the beginning of the year. So you have to split your leave between Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitri. So you have to split your leave between the Ramadan period and that's lesser Eid and Eid al-Adha. So is there any way that we can suggest in order to do this?
Well, sorry, if I can jump in. When it comes to leave, right, I don't know where this person is calling from. If this person is coming from, yes, it's coming from Lagos, yes. I know that for most private companies, they have 4 weeks for, that is for their senior staff and above, yes. And then for the public sector, I know they have 6 weeks. I always advise not to use your leave for Ramadan or Eid al-Adha for so many reasons, right? The first reason is that, yes, because leaves are meant for you to go and rest, not to go and work, right? You're going to burn out. That's number one. Number two as well is that when you want to plan yourself, always plan yourself ahead. The only people that I would say that, okay, fine, you can take some part of your leave if you want to go for itikaf. And that is very, very, it's something that you think that, God, I really do need this itikaf this year, for so and so and so reasons. Of course, you'll have, debated this with your husband and have agreed. So most often times I do advise people not to take leave for Ramadan or Eid al-Adha. Women, we feel that we're super women. Right, we feel that nothing is going to happen to us. We can do this, we can do that. There's really no time for us to rest. Ramadan is not a time for rest. It's a time for work. You work for your family, you work for yourself, and you work for every other person. Make sure just have that mindset. If you're going to take some time off, I don't know the kind of organization you have. So people take casual leave. You can take that casual leave at the end of it, maybe about 3 or 4 days. Don't ruin that leave. You could still have 3 to 2 weeks left of your leave that you're going to use, to unwind and spend time with your family. Please, I'm also pleased. Yes.
Okay, sorry, you still have the points to make. You still have the point.
Well, I wanted to add something to what my learned fellow just said, when it comes to goals, and when we're setting goals, what we should do, right, is like, as an individual, we should not think of ourselves alone. We should think of ourselves as a family. All your children must set their goals, right? About a month or two before Ramadan, you should sit down, even with your husband, so that all your goals can be in sync. Where they're not in sync, you might have to sit down and decide, okay, fine, why is it not in sync? Because if we all decide that we're going to be spending 20 minutes after Salat, everybody must be in agreement. Also, they have personal goals. You must let your children know that they can also have personal goals, like what kind of charities do you want to do this month? What kind of ibadah do you want to do? What are your prayer points? So that I too can also put you in my prayer. And they should not be shy, to tell you the things that bother them in terms of ibadah, in terms of their personal lives, in terms of their job. We should all come together this month of Ramadan to make sure that everybody is taken care of in terms of their need, in terms of this life, and in terms of the hereafter. Thank you very much.
So much. That's a load of advice on that. And while we were talking, Dr. Riley earlier on also emphasized on not wasting any time, making the best use of all the time. She's also emphasized on the setting our goals on the charts. Yeah. Do we have some more things?
I may just add, yes, please. I just add to the issue of leave. I mean, I completely agree with the fact that you shouldn't dedicate your entire time for Ramadan. And that is where planning comes into it. It's just the same way we face different, things in our lives. If you have, and I think I was going to make a point that a lot of times, and I was there at some point in my life, people are concerned as to whether or not they're not doing enough. They do a lot of comparison with people who are not as busy as they are. But we always have to remember that intention and of course be very disciplined and planning and doing the best that you can. Allah wants us to be the best versions of ourselves. What are you aiming for this year? Are you aiming to do much more than you did the previous year? I like to think that that is what we are all planning to do. So were the things that we tried to do and we had the intention and the things that we were not able to accomplish, you should remember Allah is Al-Wadud. Do you understand what that concept is? People don't reflect on the names of Allah. And I like the fact that so many Muslim platforms have been focused on the names of Allah. Because if you don't know him, how can you worship him? If you don't know, I mean, if you think of the love that he has for us, and then you realize that he doesn't want you to be stressed. He did not bring Ramadan to make you stressed. He brought Ramadan and it's something for him. He said totally for him. He will reward it. Exactly. So why must you be concerned about turning yourself into such a physically debilitating state to please Allah? He's not a human being. We think about it like how we try to please human beings. So when you do the best that you can, when you do the best and you know that he will reward you, not for only the things that you do, but only the things that you strived to do, but for one reason or the other you were unable to accomplish. So when you have that at the back of your mind and you strive honestly and truthfully and intentionally towards pleasing him for the actions that you do, then accept it and do it. Because you are not in an environment that you have control over. You don't have control over everything. You report to people and you are set in certain circumstances that there's only so much that you can do. Don't go into a guilty trip. You must also just accept it and know he's Al-Wadud. He knows more than you. So strive and to do whatever that you can. But I would say that for me, and my younger sister used to do this right from when she started work, and she's much younger than I am. She used to dedicate the last 10 days. So from her leave time, and she used to have maybe 20, 25 days, I just noticed she would always take out those days and then moved with the weekends, because we know how precious that time is, and it is the night of, and it's also the time when there's the precious night. And so we want to be in a state to be able to receive all the blessings of that time. So maybe if you have to even take some time off, it may be in relation to the 10 days, because it is so special and it is so important. It is the best of the times. So maybe then you can take a bit of that, because like the sister mentioned, it is physically draining. You have to make that sacrifice. You have to plan for it and plan to do the best that you can, which is why I said, know your schedule. Know your schedule. You already know your schedule. So plan ahead, and then know what you're going to do each day. Sometimes you meet it, sometimes you will surpass it.
Thank you.
And sometimes you will not meet it. And just move on and move to the next thing. Yes.
Yeah, those are powerful suggestions that have been given by Sister Humeni and Sister Toyin. Actually, I'm also learning while we are doing this program. Like, you've just given me an insight to how to go about my leave. Though I've already made it, but I'm going to make some modification. Yeah,
So,
still talking about leave. What is how many said at the beginning, as in before Ramadan, we should have a time with our family and set our goals, set our plans. It's not only your prayer that is involved, it's the family prayer. Everybody, somebody can have a prayer point, which you will also emphasize in your prayer. And most importantly, we also remember the Ummah and Nigeria as a whole. Sister Aisha, Dr. Aisha, do you have anything to add to this? Because this is a very important point and it really has to do with our topic today.
Yeah. About the leave? You're talking about the leave still?
Yes. Before I go to the next question.
I agree with everything that the sisters have said so far.
All right.
I've never ever taken my annual leave in Ramadan throughout my programs, and as I said, our schedules can be incredibly hectic. But one thing that people seem to forget many a times, I feel personally for me, is they put more emphasis on quantity and forget about the quality. Because you must always remember that it's not that, okay, I finished the Quran 3 times, I finished it 4 times. No, that's not the point. Because somebody who read it just once might have had more reward and had more impact of those times and those hours that you did for it. So you must find a way of blending the quality with the quantity. It's not how many times you did it, it's your intentions as you were doing it and the circumstances in which you found yourself doing it.
Thank you so much. That is very key. Quality and quantity. And we know that for Allah, well, no matter how small it is what we are doing, consistency is key for us. So if it is an ibadah we've been doing outside Ramadan, continuing on it and adding some, making sure that the quality is what is most paramount rather than quantity is very important. Because if you just rush through in order to complete and the barakah is not as rewarding as if we do it slowly but concentrating, making it a very good point, a good ibadah, is more important in this case. Yes, thank you very much. On the issue of leave, I think we've said quite a number, but if we have other suggestions from the listeners, we wouldn't mind. But for now, I'll go to the next question, which is how can first-time women cope with shopping, cooking, and the home front? However, Olaide Zainab is okay. That just went off. Olaide Zainab wants to know if to take time off, it could be just for the last 10 days of Ramadan and plan for it. Okay, she's also emphasizing what we said earlier. And the question is, coming from one of our listeners, is realistically, is it advisable for a woman to go for itikaf? That's a big question. I wish there are ulamas and scholars amongst us today. Sister Umeni, I'll throw that to you, knowing you.
Alhamdulillah. Well, alhamdulillah.
Then we all add to it. Thank you.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Honestly, Islam is not a religion for men. It's a religion for human beings. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us to serve him in ways that he has accepted. Now, women can go for itikaf, but if you're married, you need the consent of your husband. Very, very important. That is number one. Number two as well is that if you're going for itikaf, make sure the mosque has a women's place that is well secluded, where you can have your ibadah, without any man coming in and out. Because I've seen some mosques that do itikaf. You see men coming in, they say, well, I want to see my wife. I say, this is a space for women. Why are you coming in here? So you must have that understanding with the masjid that the women's space should be a women's space. And it should be well taken care of. Another thing we women should also do when we're going for itikaf, if we know each other, it is always nice, very, very nice for us to find a way to barricade that place, because that's always the reason why men don't want their women to go out for itikaf. But of course, can we go? Yes, we can, so long as you have the consent of your husband. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's very just hitting the nail on the head. So long as you have the consent, because if you don't have the consent of your husband anyway, is there baraka in it? You have to have the consent of your husband so that the home front will be at peace while you are doing your own prayer as well. And if you are in your parents' home as a lady, I think it's also nice to get the consent of the parents rather than just going on itikaf on one's own will. Sister Toyin, do you have anything to add to it too?
I mean, so yes, I agree with you. Indeed that of course the consent should be had, but I mean I don't know if it's the law part of me. I was dwelling on the fact that the question was whether realistically it was possible in light of the realities that we face as women to actually go for itikaf. It is difficult and in most cases highly unlikely for a lot of women. But I think that we should also not dwell too much on these things because indeed there's a reason why they've said that the prayers of the women that are done in the home, you know, the fact that you are not able to go to any of those places, it is very valid. And in fact, in some cases, some have said that it's even better. So I know that there are so many blessings that come with going for itikaf, but again,
I guess
concerning that and everything that you're doing outside of that, it's still also valid. So it is it is difficult, and in cases where you can, alhamdulillah, you can go for it, but where you cannot, you know, you can just, you know, do the best that you can in your home, and inshallah your dua will be accepted, even as much as
for instance, I have never been for itikaf, you know, but I'm not against, you know, those people that go for itikaf, you know, for so many reasons. I can't go. I can't because my children are there, my husband there's so many things that will not make me go. But some people do have pressing desires to go. That's number one. Pressing needs. And some married people, they don't have any children yet. You know, so yes, I mean, the space is there for them to go. You know, so the main thing I feel is to let them know that, of course, there's nothing that stops you from going. Nothing. If you want to go, yes, you can go, yes.
Yeah. Dr. Aisha, do you have anything to add to that, please?
I think they've said it all, really. Let's not
honestly, they've said it all. Like Dr. Sister Humeni said, I've never really gone for itikaf from and there are lots of things when it comes to the itikaf, the real jurisprudence of itikaf in Islam, because sure, where you are doing it, is itikaf done outside? Is itikaf supposed to be done in haram? You know, there are lots of things concerning it, but all we pray is that may Allah accept our ibadah. Once it's accepted, that will be the most important thing. Another question, how can professional cope with night shift in Ramadan? That's a very, though we can link it to the question I asked earlier, that's how can fasting women cope with shopping, cooking, work, home front? Maybe we should just, whichever one we want to talk on, let's put it in so that we won't just forget that question. There are some women that have a difficulty trying to get that done during Ramadan as well.
Yeah, sorry, can I jump in? Sorry.
Please come on board.
Yes, I'm not a doctor, neither am I a nurse, but you know, I think I was discussing with you yesterday about my trip en route Dubai to London, and one of the air hostesses, you know, it was the first day of Ramadan, and I was fasting on that day. She brought my food, and I said, no, I don't want to eat. I'm fasting. And she looked at me because, I mean, are you fasting? Is today Ramadan? I said, yes, today is the first of Ramadan. You could see in her eyes because she's traveling from one time zone to another time zone, right? And most of the time they do back to back. It's always very, very difficult. And it is not just the nurses and the doctors alone that go through this. We have other professions that also go through this, that theirs is even worse, you know. But my take on this is that, just like my other panelists has said earlier, that it is nice to plan. Most often times, people like this, these are the times you might need to take some time off. You plan, this might be times you take some time off. However, depending, if you're working in Nigeria and you're a nurse, for instance, you're doing the night shift, it is not so bad, because it means that you're going to take your sahur at work before you go home and then go and rest. You know, just look at it that way. I'm going to take my sahur at work, you know, main thing is take my sahur with me and take my iftar with me. So when you get to work, take your iftar, save your sahur, and then after, working for a certain amount of hours, the only thing I'm always afraid of is ibadah. And we said earlier on that even without, you being able to do nawafils and everything, do not let your mouth stop saying dhikr. Keep on walking dhikr. Like my sister also said, car dhikr, when you're coming to work, do your car dhikr, your car recitation, do all those things. And some people even memorize Quran, even while walking, because they know the verses they want to memorize. Even if it's just 2 verses, just keep on chanting it. That enough. Because in Islam, the beauty of Islam, like Rasulullah said, everything is going to be judged according to your intentions. And your intention is the main thing here. And for those in the medical line, it is one of those professions Rasulullah encourage us to go into, because even though you're getting paid for it, you're getting special barakah. So each time you're taking care of someone in the hospital and you're thinking of how am I going to get enough barakah, this Ramadan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is already giving it to you. Your intention is the main thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala dwells on your intentions first, not the act first, the intention first. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and bless our doctors and nurses and those working in this kind of dire conditions.
Thank you so much. Dr. Aisha, do you have something to say to that?
Yes. So, thank you, sister. She's not a doctor, but she's talking for us. So thank you.
Exactly.
So something else that you can do is swap your calls if they fall within those last 10 days, and those are particularly the days that you might need to stay awake for. You're never working alone. It's not an island. You have colleagues. If you already have a beautiful working relationship with these people, they'll be so super understanding. As I said, I was the only Muslim in my group of residents at that time, and they were wonderful. I consider them family, and this is something they would do for you at the drop of a hat, because you would do the same for them in their own time of need. So you can easily swap, make it more convenient for yourself, and that's fine. I talked about my driving 1 hour. There are days I remember, particularly the last 10 days of Ramadan, and I wanted to utilize it to the best, but I knew it was going to take a toll on my system. So what I did is, I have a friend that lives not too far from here. She also drives every day. Like, okay, please, we're starting the last 10 days. You're going to come and be picking me up every morning and dropping me off. And she was happy to do that. And wonderful. Yes, I'll sleep. As she's driving, I'm sleeping and I'm resting. And by the time we get there, I'm up and work continues. And the same coming back too. So you have people like that would help you. Yes. And then the nurses, they run shifts. So, and the shifts are pre-scheduled at the beginning of the month. They have night offs, day offs, and things like that. So if again you have a good relationship with your colleagues, this is something that is very, very easily sorted out.
Thank you.
The cooking and the whole bulk. I think just you have a plan, you have a timetable. This is what I want to cook this week, or you want to for the whole month. It just depends on how much space you have. I don't have a lot of space in my house, so I can't buy it. But then you plan, maybe this weekend I buy this, and this one I'm making today, this one I'm making tomorrow, and then you've packaged everything, prepped it if possible. If it's marinated, you marinated it, you put it in the freezer. In the morning, you take it out, you drop it, you come back, and planning makes your life so easy.
Easy. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. You have something to put?
So I align myself with all what has been said concerning, doing the best that you can, doing the shifts, having a good rapport with your colleagues, building, banking that thing deliberately ahead of Ramadan, and then maybe making up after Ramadan, so that they trust that you are that sort of person who will do that for you. So you have that relationship. But in terms of shopping, again, the same thing. I recently I put on social media that about this planning, and we were just in a different time. When I think about how things were without social media and just those reminders, when you take the positives out of social media, the reminders, so many people have been doing countdown to Ramadan. I keep seeing it everywhere. Countdown, 10 days. 24 days. They've been counting down since 30 days. So it's made me so conscious.
Yes.
And I have been actually saying, okay, so what do we need? Just it also helps with the pocket. Because when you plan ahead, you don't have to then do like that, pay out such huge amounts of money at the same time towards it. And I made the example
of.
of.
Appears when you are talking, that's when the calls are coming in. Okay. Can we have the call, please, quickly? Oh, I guess the person is gone.
Oh,
okay, she's talking.
No, so the person is there.
I've linked you to the studio.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so I was saying that I made the point that
I'll try with the voice, okay, because of the room.
Okay.
I'll go ahead.
All right, thank you. Sister Toyin, could you please go ahead?
Okay, so I was saying that.
Oh, it appears she's back. Wa alaikum salam.
Okay.
Wa alaikum salam. Could you please speak up? Maybe she. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can hear you. Wow.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
Okay.
I would like to ask you that, okay, I hope you can hear me very well. For people that
we can hear you.
We have a different time zone. Okay, well,
yes, go on.
People that live abroad, we have a different time zone. So, our hours, we'll be fasting for about 18 hours before we break our fast. Okay.
So, what question do you want to ask on that, please? Okay,
so
maybe she wants.
It's very challenging, and for our children that are in school, even though most of the education now is online. So, can you just give us maybe a brief tip on how to meet up with the challenges of the weather and the time difference, if you may?
Yeah. All right. Does anyone of you want to take that before I say something?
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, if you have to look at some UK, I mean, let's take that as a case study, because I would love to take Norway, but it would be very unfair, because I know Norway, you have people fasting almost 23 hours because of the midnight sun. Yes, almost 23 hours. But then, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ever so kind. Ever so kind. It is never going to be like that all through the year. And you know that there will come a time when in the UK they're going to be breaking their fast at 4:30.
Exactly.
When it comes to winter, and sometimes even shifting to past 4 or to 4. Now the same thing goes for people in Norway. There comes a time when it is darkness all through. From morning till night, it is always dark. Now these are times when these are times when the time for fasting is actually shortened. However, there's so many schools of thought. There's a school of thought that says that for those living in Norway, for instance, since you cannot fast 24 hours and just have the leeway of eating for 1 hour, you could follow those in Saudi Arabia. It's a school of thought. Some school of thought says no, you should do as is. This is what has been said. If the sun sets, that is when you're supposed to eat. In the UK, I would always tell people that, see, there's so many schools of thought you can hide under. But the main and important thing is that you're not losing barakah.
Yeah.
When you're fasting for 18 hours, you are one of those very few people that prays all through the night, because you have just 2 hours of night prayer. Just 2 hours of night prayer. So you have 100% of doing your night prayer. Even if it's 1 hour you did, you have 50% of doing night prayers. So you understand? Yeah, so it is always a balance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, in his kindness, has done things in a way that if only we look at it introspectively, and then see that some of these things, Allah, is a benefit for us in terms of the fact that there's some other places you're benefiting from. You might think you're losing in one place. I just want my sister, to look at it, from a philosophical point of view, that if I'm going to be fasting for 18 hours, my barakah is going to be different from those fasting for just 6 or 7 hours. It's just given. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease all our affairs. Yes.
That's very, very explicit. And I'll be talking from experience. I've experienced both. I've experienced fasting, even with pregnancy and the shorter period in the UK, where you have to break your fast by around 4, you're already done. And it was so easy then. In short, I fasted all through my pregnancy then, because I didn't feel like I was fasting. I didn't feel like I was fasting. And when I was doing my master's in the same UK, I've experienced fasting for 19 hours. You fast, you are breaking around 11 p.m. By 1:30, you must have finished your suhoor. In a way, Allah has said it, that it will make life easy for us. He doesn't want any stress for us.
Yes.
I didn't really feel, sincerely, I didn't really feel too out of place when I was doing the 11 hours. Despite the fact that I was doing my dissertation, I was the group prep, I had to attend to family issues back home. My mom was ill at the same time. Yes, it took a toll on me, but maybe because of the intention, like you all said, actions shall be judged according to intention. I knew Ramadan was coming and it's going to be difficult. That was what I thought, but I know Allah will make it easy for me. Being a student, it has somehow become part of me, even till now, even before now, from my mommy, from my parents' home, we buy in bulk. So even as a student, I still bought in bulk. We have fridge that everybody use, and they knew me because when I cook in the hostel, I don't cook for myself alone. I cook, and all of us, you have to have a taste at least. As Muslims, you don't cook while your neighbors, you understand, they are not Nigerians. I was with a Chinese and a Ghanaian, a South Korean, and a Singaporean. But when I cook, myself and the Ghanaian, we really enjoyed ourselves. But others, they will come. There were some dishes they really liked, and there were some that they would just take a little. But it was ease. It was ease. Allah will make it easy. And for the children that are very young, you might make it easy for them. Maybe they fast half of the day if they cannot cope with the complete hours of fasting. And Allah will understand. They are children. They are just still learning. It's not incumbent on them at that time to fast the whole day. And from that, they will learn how to fast the long time when it is time for them, when they are now matured. So whatever Allah brings our way, it's a sort of a way of getting barakah. And before I quickly jump out, the other one, like working the nurse that is on shift, what I used to advise fellow Muslims, my whole life should be Islam. It shouldn't be Islam at work or Islam at home, then work is different. So I put it in my mind that my working, even as a nurse on shift, that work I'm doing is ibadah. So I take it and I continue doing zikri, and I am saying it, Ya Allah, please accept this for me. If you do it that way and you have that intention, actions are judged according to intention. So your intention is you are helping this sick person as a form of ibadah, and Allah will accept that, and you will get multiple reward for that. That's just a little one. Can another Sister Toyin, Dr. Aisha, do you also have something to say on this, please?
I mean, so if I may, I will just talk about, and then I think this is a bit controversial, but I would only share my own experience. You know, yes. I would only speak from my own perspective. The one around feasting, you know, spending so much time cooking.
Wow.
And
wow, you could be brought in
the month of feasting in the month of Ramadan. You know. I mean, so growing up for me, that wasn't the culture. It was definitely simple meals that we had, you know, to break fast, and also simple meals in the morning. My dad would always say to us as children, that if you eat so much, you're not able to be able to realize all the benefits. You waking up, you know, the prayers, going for Tarawih prayers. I mean, growing up in Lagos, we used to go to the mosque for Tarawih prayers every night. There was a neighborhood mosque that would always go. It was so you can't. There wasn't even that much time for you to be feasting and all those stuff like that. And I never saw my mom in that position growing up. But then moving up to the, you know, further up in the north, in 2002, I then, you know, had visits with friends, and I would see such a huge spread, and I was so amazed, and I was like, what is going on here? And they said, no, this is it. I mean, this is not to throw shades at my friends in the north, but I'm just saying that this is how I came across it, because I'm aware that even in the South, we ask for families who do a lot of cooking and all that. I can understand cooking to give out and neighbors, and those are the things that I'm familiar with. And so whatever simple meals you're cooking, maybe sometimes you would have to give out, or maybe you find out you can outsource or whatever. But essentially, that issue of spending the entire time cooking several meals, I've told you you have to sample different things. Oh, and call again. Right. It must be my voice.
I think so.
Your voice is just attracting the calls. Can we hear the calls,
so.
please?
Yes, please.
Can we have the caller, please?
1 minute.
I guess. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so my question is that it's quite easy for people in maybe senior positions at certain companies to say, okay, I'm able to plan how my 30 days in Ramadan is going to be like, because I mean, they get to make some decisions. But how about Muslims in, junior positions where you literally just have to do what your employer asks you to do? How are you able to set out time to do the ibadah that you have lined up for Ramadan when maybe your senior partner is saying you have to leave work like say 8 or 9 and all of that? Some persons might not just exactly be considered, especially if you don't have Muslim employers. How do you settle or manage that? That's my question. Thank you.
Managing partnership when you are a junior in a
partner.
If I get that, a junior partner, if I get that right. Okay.
Yes.
So can
if I may, I sort of feel like this is somebody who has been in my space for some time. So if I may just respond to this.
Jump in, please.
And I think we've talked a little about the fact that you have to build some level of stuff with your fellow colleagues. I would talk from experience that worked for me. There are times I pull in for my own colleagues as well. You must identify your allies in your organization. So there are times when certain things will come your way. There's that one. You can then say, oh, Tola or Aisha or Hamidat, can you step in for me for this? I have Ramadan is here. I have to do this. And if the person does the same level of work, you may be able to get some succor. Sometimes it doesn't work, but sometimes it works. If you build that credibility, they will support you. If they know that you pull in for them, they will pull in for you at that time as well. And then the second thing maybe I want to say around that is that we talk a lot. We don't talk enough about what Ramadan is really about. So a lot of our employers and the people that we work with just know that we don't eat, we don't drink. Do you understand? But they don't know the essence and all the other things that come up with it. I found out that when I talked more about the fact that, for instance, as a junior associate, like I said, many years ago, I said, when I walked up to my partner and I said to them, I have to be away. Can you please give me this concession where I have to close at a certain time? I said, but you're not going to be eating now anyway, and blah, blah, blah. And I then spoke to them about all the other things that come with Ramadan, the Tarawih prayers, the Ibadah, and all of that. Just making him understand that this goes beyond not eating and drinking. That there's so much to be done in that month that this time is absolutely necessary. So we should do a lot more educating our people all around us, both our employers and our fellow teammates. Let them understand what it entails. Let them understand what all that Ramadan, it's a whole lot of events, within that month. With that comes a level of understanding. If you are in a good organizations that treasure you, that value your work, and they know that you are a hard worker, you pull in, you do this, it's actually easier. Sometimes you would not get it. Sometimes there are client deliverables that you have to do. And then you know what? You have the internet now. We didn't have that. When you go home, you were home. We didn't have mobile phones then. Well, at least when I started out, there were no mobile phones. There was nothing. But now, you can't go home. You can't be doing whatever you're doing and then, do it at a later time. You say, can I, instead of bringing this, can I send it at a later time? And then you have the internet, you can do so. But you see, one last thing, sacrifice. Yeah. Ramadan is also about sacrifice. There is so much you will have to do.
Yeah.
That, yes, that would involve that.
Thank you so much. That's so explicit. That is very explicit on this particular issue. And you are still drumming on teamwork, being diligent, being useful in your space. Let your absence be missed. They know that if you are not there, these things won't work out. So they will hold forth for you so that you can do whatever you want to do and come back and join. Teamwork is very important. Before we go on, another question we can talk on, we'll still add to that. How do you cope with being okay, it's still the same question. It's still the same question. So, I don't know if any other, Dr. Aisha, you've not spoken for a while. I want to hear your voice.
So, really, I have a wonderful group of colleagues talking here that they make it seem as if I don't have to add anything more.
All right. That's
they're saying it all. But as sister has said, it's a sacrifice. And this closing late, it's not an everyday thing. So sometimes it's also it's not enough for you to
Aisha, you are not drawing calls too. Can we quickly you are taking over from Sister Toyi. All right. Hello, can you call me? Can you talk to me? Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I'd just like you to share some coping tips for a Muslim woman who is working in a non-Muslim environment.
Yeah.
And these workers, they are not usually ready to cooperate with her or support her during Ramadan. Ramadan experience.
I like that reading down.
Usually, during Ramadan, the employer increases our workload, and this usually complicates things for the sister in question. So, do you have some kind of specific tips as she can take to this forthcoming Ramadan?
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's an important question. It crossed my mind earlier on, but it's good she's bringing it up. So, can we start dissecting the question?
May I just say to this sister that you don't even understand the blessings you are going to get just for even that work.
Thank you.
Kai, in that they are giving you more work. You are not able to do that. Wow. When I think about the blessings that Allah will give you for just being in that situation and having Him in mind, that Allah, I want to worship you. I want to be with you. I want to be doing this right now. What do I do?
Mashallah.
To think of the blessings. Why do you worry? You are not in a situation you controlled.
Thank you.
And we don't know the economic circumstances that is making you be there, because it is easy to then also even say, why even be in such an organization?
Yeah.
But we all know that in reality, sometimes we don't pick these things. Sometimes we are lucky, we're able to, and then we're able to be in positions where we can. But sometimes you find that there's so many things competing that makes that person to be in that kind of space. But when I think of what Allah is going to just be blessing you with for being in that position, even if you don't do one act of true ibadah, I don't believe, and the person that I know, as the being that I know, will bless you. So don't be so concerned. Strive to do the best that you can. And use all those avenues. They're little times, and they add up. When you find that time, when you memorize, when you chant, I think the sisters have already mentioned that, just do it. And those other things that are within your control, wallahi, I believe that the Allah that we serve will reward you, sister.
Exactly.
So don't be too concerned about that, and focus on the ones that you can do to the best of your ability. And I tell you that for people that even have more time, perhaps He would even bless you more.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I want to say that is a very good opportunity for such sister to do dawah. Dawah with action, not with words this time around. With action, you do it so much so that they know the beauty of Islam, even if they want to close their eyes against it. Let it emanate and keep renewing that intention that, Ya Allah, I'm doing this for you. Ya Allah, I'm doing. Like Sister Toyin said, the blessings will be innumerable. As humans, we tend to think of, oh, they don't want me to practice my religion. They don't want me to do this. But there is a purpose for Allah putting you in that position. Make the best use of it, and you get the utmost barakah from it. Well, let me also hear from Dr. Aisha and Sister Humaini.
Well, for me, I believe that there are no accidents in Islam. Everything is preordained in Islam. If you're in a space where you're not appreciated as a Muslim, or your spirituality is, kicked under the carpet, it means that Allah has given you a job. And that job is, how am I going to warm into these people's hearts? Truly but surely, first with your character. Rasulullah said, one of the things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves most is good character. Good character will lead people to Jannah. Bad character, even with all the ibadah, will lead people to a hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not let that be our lot. But what I'm saying in essence is that when you find yourself in a space like that, you know that you're going to wear an armor of what? Of enlightenment, just like my sister said. The first thing is kindness. Kindness has no language. It's the deaf can hear it, the blind can see it. So the first thing is kindness, and lend yourself to everybody. Let everybody owe you something. Lend yourself to everybody and let them owe you something, because they're coming to pay. Another thing, of course, I want you to do, like Mrs. Bashir said, the world of enlightenment now is that you send, even if it's small things, but before Ramadan come, right, try giving gifts. And inside that gift, write something so beautiful about what Ramadan really is and what a Muslim is expected to do in terms of kindness, because they have already started seeing the kindness in you. So start with that. I remember also during the time of Eid al-Adha, when we give people meat, I carve out the portion of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, it's not the blood or the flesh that reaches Allah. I write it boldly on the paper bag, and everybody reads it, and they ask me, is this from the Quran? I said, yes, it's from the Quran. A lot of people do not know the beauty of the Quran. They do not know the beauty of this month, and they do not even know that, you can even help them pray, and their prayers will be answered, this month. For me, I feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not do things arbitrarily. Everything happens for a reason, and you key into that reason and make the very best of it. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ease all our affairs.
Thank you very much. Dr. Aisha, do you want to add to it? There are some questions popping up that I would like to read immediately you finish yours.
Okay. So this sister is in a very, very unique opportunity. She's an ambassador to Islam in every aspect of it. So she's in a wonderful position, not only to influence all of the environment around her, but create what a picture. There's so much misconception that goes on about Islam. So whenever I find myself, and you do find yourself in these kind of situations where you're the only Muslim, just remember that don't say I am a Muslim, I am Islam, because whatever it is that is seen in you, in your actions, in your attitude, in your responses to those additional responsibility he seems to be giving to you is what, okay, that's what the Muslims will do. And it's because she thinks, no. So just always have that at the back of your mind, that I am an ambassador to Islam, and whatever I reflect is what these people that have absolutely no idea about Islam will take home with them. So welcome, an ambassador. So,
thank you very much. Just like everybody has said, it's an opportunity for you to gain barakah. It's an opportunity for you to do dawah. It's an opportunity to show your kindness, show the Islam by your action. Let everyone owe you. When they say let everyone owe you, it's like you are doing something for them they value so much that they are obliged to also reciprocate what you have done. Sister Rafia keep asking, how can fasting women cope with shopping, cooking, work, and home fronts? We've mentioned quite a few things on that. If you have a big storage, like a deep freezer in the house, you can store food. What I do, in my own case, I'm used to cooking in bulk. I buy a lot of things in bulk in the house. So planning the food you are going to do, like Sister Tony and Sister Omani said earlier on, planning your food, have a plan for the food you want to take for each day. We make that easier. And buying your things in bulk will relieve you of buying every day. It will take that stress off you. And if you don't have in bulk, have a schedule of what you want to do. And maybe during the weekends, you get the shopping done before the week. And at least you still have a little space in the freezer. That can really help. And the home front, I think everybody needs to work as a team to make everything successful. So the kids in the house, or the help in the house, and the man of the house, in one way or the other too, can be can participate in making Ramadan well. But like Salmani said earlier on, there should be a plan ahead of Ramadan. With this plan, this can work very well. Well, my sisters, please put in your words into this.
Well, let me just add to what you have said. I mean, you've said, what you've said, whatever it is you've said is honestly very wonderful. But, we keep on forgetting that. I keep on saying women are not super women. We're human beings.
Yeah.
We're just human. We go to the markets, we store the fridge, we check what is in the freezer. All these things are very hard work to some people. To me, it is hard work. I must tell you. I like cooking. I cook because it's necessary. But as time goes on, we really have to understand that there's so many other leeways, to get yourself out of this mess. The first thing is that you could have someone come in and do all the cooking for you while you do other things, right? Buy all the things you want to buy and get somebody to do the cooking and you can store. That is on one side. Another thing we forget to do, we do not love to enjoy life. We make money, we don't know how to enjoy it. We do not eat out in Ramadan. We forget what is money for. Please go to those posh hotels, take all your children there, and then the value of Ramadan, you'll be looking forward to Ramadan every Ramadan. If you want to say, okay, fine, it's only twice we're going to do, please go out, just be happy, and then come back home. Another thing, of course, we can do is if you have friends, because some people have very close friends, then move iftar. Maybe you want to move iftar, to somebody else's house. What you're going to do, perhaps yours is just going to bring salad. Do it in a way that it's not going to really crunch you down. And another thing, of course, is that if you don't have money to go to all those big restaurants, please, when you're coming back home, go to the eatery, buy tasty fried chicken, buy whatever it is you want to buy. Just the only thing is that make sure everybody's on the same page. That's the only thing that always causes squabbles in the house. If you don't, enlighten every other person in the house that, see, today, it is eat out, but I'm bringing it in, everybody's going to be fine by it. At the end of the day, they're waiting for you to bring the eat out, and then everybody's happy. Another thing, of course, I want to add that we always forget is to buy Eid clothes on time, because during Ramadan, I know that everybody's always busy, and when it's close to the end of Ramadan, Lagos Island is a no-go area. So if you're one that buy clothes for a lot of people, like your house help, your security guards, and quite a lot of people that we buy trad for, this is the best time to just go to Lagos Island, buy them, cut them, and give them to whoever it is you want to give them to sew. If you're one of those. If you're not one of those, that you already have things you want to wear, that is just fine. Another thing I want to also say is that we have to encourage those people that, they have a lot of side hustles. We have people that make soup, they make this, they make that. If you can patronize them, it's also fine for Ramadan, because you're also encouraging them as well as making things easy for you. So, just to chip one or two things in.
Thank you so much. Those are wonderful advices. Those are tips that make life easy. I really buy into taking people out for Ramadan. If not, let's have a thought. We gather to this time and we go and but remember to make sure that there is a place close by that you say your prayer immediately after. All right, so in Dr. Aisha, do you have something to say? There's another burning question on the floor.
I agree with Sister Obani, definitely. All those, okay. So please go on, Sister Aisha.
We do that in our family as well. Like every Saturdays, we go to a different sibling's house, and that person hosts and cooks, and it's a huge relief for you, and you get to rest. About the shop, too, as depends on your pocket, really. If you can afford to buy, and buy it and separate it. But something I've started doing now, like for instance, I've already sorted out all of my beans. I bought it, and I've given someone to wash it for me and dry it for me. Keep it, then in the morning I'll soak it so that when I come back it's just to blend it and make my akara or moi moi or whatever. Standing and washing beans and all of that. I've already started cooking in bulk. Like yesterday, the soup I made 3 portions and I packaged it. I'm going to put it in my freezer. So at least I know for the first week of Ramadan, I'll have that. Today I'm going to do the same thing. I'll make a different type of soup and make extra 3 packages and put it. That's what you do, because you can't cook every day. You can't wake up and make no, it's not feasible. You're human. The rest. So that's what I do. Cook every day. This is the week before Ramadan is the best time for you to start, and then you just package these things and you keep them. Makes your life so much easier.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So that you even save more time for your ibadah during the time.
Yeah.
So you had something to say, then I'll give this very. It's a question that I'm looking forward to what we'll say. Oh yeah, Sister Tony, go on, please.
Well, I mean, so every point there is valid and all that.
All right.
every point valid. I think the only there's a call coming.
Sorry, yes, there was a call, but I thought it was good. Is there someone there? Can the caller? Hello, we can hear you. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You are on Banti's Charity Ramadan Summit.
I've been enjoying the discussions of Subhanallah. May Allah bless all of you.
Ameen.
We need this discussion not only during Ramadan. We need to discuss our prayer in the part of Nigeria. Okay. We have this idea of feasting for Sahur, inviting people over, especially in the weekend. I don't know if it happens in the north or if tomorrow. As a professional, when you have those kind of events, especially on Sundays, and you have a long Monday on your way going to especially DI on the traffic, is there any way out of this, please? Such that when you get to work that Monday, you will be nagging and upset and khaki. Thank you. That's my question.
Thank you very much for that question. However, Sister Toyin brought this issue up earlier on. We discussed it earlier on, but I will still want us to share some light into it. What she said was, when we were growing up, same with me, there was nothing like this feasting, but what we have today, and that's why it is professional. That's why the topic for today is professionalism in the new normal amidst Ramadan challenges. Can you repeat a bit of what you said, Sister Toyin, so that it will be coming from the horse's mouth? Sister Toyin, it appears that her internet is off now. So what she said is, it's like it's not a norm. It's not a Ramadan thing, but it's a new thing people are doing. It's a new.
Sorry,
okay,
let me.
Go on.
Hello, sorry.
Okay,
is that me?
Go on, please.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, having a feast, even if you go down to the time of Sallallahu, I mean, that is the cardinal points, for us to pick up all our, our adab and everything. Rasulullah, they did not, at that point in time, they don't eat a lot, even if it's a date, they use in breaking their fast before the Tarawih, they do not eat a lot. And I also remember as well, I remember that there was a sister in the US, in the time of Ramadan, what they do is they make a lot of food, they make a feast, but that feast is not for the house, it's for the poor. When they make a feast, yes, they take the feast out and they eat meagerly. Now, the essence of Ramadan is lost, right? If we put inside this belly so much food, health-wise, it is not right. Now, if you look at the way our body is made up, let's assume that we don't even fast all year round and it's only Ramadan, right? Removing the spirituality out of it, look at your body. Your body needs a break. It means that it needs a break from all the things you've been eating. It needs a break to rest. You fill it up very early in the morning with eba or pounded jam, I don't know, whatever. Some people just eat that big in the morning. And in the evening, you fill it up even far more. At the end of the day, you're eating more than you would eat in any ordinary day. So what's the point of Ramadan? The point is, eat very little. Feel light. Yes, feel light, so that even after Ramadan, you can rethink that, why am I eating this big? As professional women, we know most of our jobs are sedentary. We sit down, we talk to people. Sometimes we walk here and there, right? And we don't burn enough fat. If we eat and this, I mean, somebody said some time ago that the worst thing that's happened to man is the chair. And it is not food that is killing us, it's the chair that is killing us. Yes, yeah. We don't stand up and we still eat. We feel that we should eat. It's not that we're hungry. Ramadan is not, that part of our world. It's a part of our world that says eat as little as possible, fill yourself with spirituality, fill yourself with very little food. Another thing, of course, I remembered in the time of Rasulullah, the hungrier you are, the more spiritual you are. The hungrier you are, the more spiritual you are. The hungrier you are, the more you're able to internalize what you read in the Quran. The hungrier you are, the more you're able to understand what you're reading in the Hadith. Even when you're listening to lectures, the hungrier you are, the more you're able to take these things in. The body needs food. The soul needs fast. The soul needs fast. The more food you put into your stomach, the weaker the soul becomes. So we should always understand, yes, that our body needs very little food, right? And our soul needs a lot of fasting.
Thank you.
Whatever way you want to put it, yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, she has brought out quite some points there. And I know that Ramadan in Islam is meant for us to feel what the poor, the needy, what they feel. That is the period in the period Allah has given us. Also come down to that level. Feel the hunger, the pangs they feel, so that we can empathize with them. So in as much as we would say, looking at the time of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was no seerah, there was no hadith that we can see that, okay, they were feasting. And he is the emulator that we should follow.
Yes.
I would say we should, if you see people doing such, it's a subtle way we will have to pass across the message. Because for some, that's why they remember Ramadan. For some, that's why they will take Ramadan. So before that, let's quickly take this question. Is it advisable to delegate one's home duties as a working and fasting wife?
Is it what? Sorry, I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
Advisable. Is it advisable to delegate one's home duties as a working and fasting wife? I think they are talking about using domestic house help.
Well, a lot of people feel that. Well, okay, fine. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi. In Islam, we should know that a lot of barakah comes to a woman when she does some things herself. There's no doubt about that. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Yes. However, if in Islam, a woman is allowed to go out, to make something of herself, have a profession and work, and have a gainful, means of income, it also precludes that she will not be able to do everything that she would normally have been able to, right? Yeah. In the time of Rasulullah, there's absolutely nothing wrong, yes, in having maids. There's absolutely nothing wrong. The only thing is that I remember the hadith of Rasulullah when Fatimat, radiallahu anha, wanted a maid, and he said no. And why was this? It was because he wanted her to get the very best barakah, the very best of everything. And she's one of the emulators. People are going to emulate, Rasulullah insisted that she should do everything by herself. Now, a lot of men hold on to this now and say women should do everything. No. A woman can have as many maids as possible, right? It does not mean she's not doing anything. It does not mean she's not going to help. No, she's going to go to the market most often times. Even if she has to go to the market, she still takes some of these people with her, right? A woman is not a maid. Neither is she a slave. We're neither of these two things, yes. Yeah. So we should note that in Islam it is allowed for you to have maids, but do not forget yourself. You have to do some things around the house as well.
Yes, that's just saying make yourself useful in the house. Don't leave everything to the maid. You can do some, and they can be support. And in addition to what you said, the Rasulullah also gave Fatima radiallahu anha the askar to say. Those 33 subhanallah, 33 alhamdulillah, and 33 Allah Akbar. It was the same scenario. So I think Tatonya and Dr. Aisha will have something to say. Yes. Dr. Aisha, I can hear your voice.
Yes, I wanted to say something. So
and with this we'll start rounding off.
some people, some husbands can be very, very difficult. My husband, alhamdulillah, he doesn't have any stress. Whatever you give him, he will eat and he's okay with it. But then I have friends that will tell you the husband will insist on 6 separate dishes and all of that, which is ridiculous. How much can you possibly eat? Or they will insist on those varieties and things like that. So I think something that they can do is hire help. These kind of husbands, if they want so much variety, then they must be willing to, at least if you're a
Pay for the
professional,
domestic serve.
to pay. You can just, I know people that do this during Ramadan, they hire a cook, just someone to help with the prepping and things like that. You're still there, not as if you're not there. So you're still going to get the reward. But you cannot go to work, come back and start making 6, 10 different kind of dishes. And on weekends when you're having families coming in, like what the other sister was talking about, you can order some of these things to be delivered, or you have someone to help you. This day and age is not a time when it's not slavery, as sister has said. Because you're a woman and you're married and in the house does not mean that you're a slave. I'll be kind of mixed in the culture with the religion, and there's so much overlap. People just want to interpret it the way that it suits them, but that's not it. There's no black and white. There has to be some gray. Hire help, hire someone to help you, order some of these things. You don't have to do it all yourself.
Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Sister Toyin, as we'll be rounding up soon, Sister Toyin, on this particular one. Welcome back. The internet took you off the other time. Hello, Sister Toyin. It appears the internet is playing something on her again. Okay. Well, we've been here for the past 1 hour, 30 minutes now. Sister Toyin, if you're back, you can jump in, but however, we'll soon be rounding up. So, starting from you, Sister Ameen, Professional, I want you to say a minute roundup for the program.
Well, thank you very much, Fatima. Well, the thing I just want to advise professional women out there, in the light of what is going on, COVID and Ramadan that is coming, know that you have to plan yourself very well. Planning is very, very crucial here. Time management is also very crucial. You have to be very, very disciplined. And I always advise community service. What kind of community service am I talking about? Feed the poor. Feed, if you live in a place where you have a lot of beggars, make food, extra food for them, sometimes iftar, sometimes sahur. And note that you have to understand where you are. We work in Lagos, and there's so many roadwork in Lagos right now, and so we have a lot of traffic, we have power problems, we have insecurity, we have quite a lot of things in Lagos that is a rich mix that is making it very, very hard for women to perform very well. But putting all these problems into perspective, it is very important for us to learn to manage our time very well, like we have said earlier on. Plan yourself very well, and make sure your family are always in on the plan that you're making, either the food plan, whether the Ibadah plan, any kind of plan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our Ramadan. Allahumma balikna Ramadan. Allahumma balikna Ramadan. Allahumma balikna Ramadan. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala count us among those who would not only perform this Ramadan alone, but many more Ramadans in our lifetime.
Amen. Thank you very much. What is if you are back? Let's hear a rounding up message for you for the month. We're sorry, the internet have been playing some issues, but I'd love to hear more from you. But we are rounding up now, so you have a minute to speak. Thank you so much.
That is fine. I must first start by thanking the panelists, because all the while I've been writing all sorts of notes. It's been very enlightening for me, and I just even sharing and listening, apart from sharing, listening to all these tips. I myself have gotten some things written down. But in addition to that, I guess is to just, appeal to my sisters that Ramadan is a whole lot of things. I'd like to call it a potpourri, potpourri with different things inside. And that at every point in time, we should just be conscious of our intention. There's so many things that we can do. There, like Stamani has mentioned, there's so many charitable initiatives, starting from our own families, right? There are some family members that we should take care of. And then there's the external as well. Those things that we can plug in, whether directly or indirectly in giving cash. Yes, those things are accepted. So we plan for it financially as well, because if you don't plan ahead, I mean, I'm all for planning. Plan for such things ahead so that it doesn't hit you too much, because again, Ramadan is not supposed to be a place where it diminishes you. You know, some people now look at it, Ramadan is coming, I don't have money, this one and all that, and you know, so but plan for it 3 months ahead, whatever. But that, yes, we are not accept every action, no matter how little. Don't worry too much about it, but then make your intention as best you can.
Thank you, Dr. Aisha. We have about a minute more.
Thank you very much. It was a very beautiful and fruitful session. Really enjoyed my time being here. Combining the home front, combining work, especially busy schedules, is not easy. But something I want everybody to remember is that doing ibadah during Ramadan does not mean you have to find a quiet place and do your wudu and sit on your praying mat. And no, you can be walking across the corridor, you can be at your desk, you can be in the office, you can be in a meeting and still be doing your zikrs in your mind, in your heart. Your tongue should always keep in motion and keep moist with the remembrance of Allah. And those actions that you do probably even fetch you more reward than what you would have had if you did sit at home. Even being in the kitchen, you can still be doing your zikr. So it's never, you cannot say I didn't have enough time. It's just how you choose to utilize those time. To do. Yes. So may Allah give us the best.
Ameen. Jazakumullahu khairan, my erudite sisters. I think I've really gained from this session today. We've spoken about how we plan our Ramadan as professionals, even if you're having calls or shifts, how you do your shopping, consistency in what you are doing, make yourself invaluable to your co-workers, create a teamwork, and home front, including the home front as well, and how to delegate things and not being not stressing yourself out. May Allah accept this from every one of us. May Allah make this Ramadan a barakah-laden one for us. May Allah accept it and reward us with paradise. And may Allah accept it from Bounties, the charity foundation that made this possible for us, by giving us this special opportunity to strive for a ladder from barakah from Allah. And may Allah make us meet the next Ramadan better than what we are today. Jazakumullahu khairan for attending. Jazakumullahu khairan for listening to us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون.
Are you prepared for Ramadan? From the archive of your Muslimah charity presents The Awakening Ramadan, featuring 7 Muslimah-centric panel sessions with over 20 esteemed speakers of your choice. You nominated them. We did the handwork to get them for you. This year shall also feature heartwarming keynote speeches from Dr. Yunus Haifa, founder, Janal Institute, 5 p.m. Friday, 2nd April 2021. Dr. Hannah Gamal, founder, Quran Quest Institute, 9:30 p.m. Saturday, 3rd April 2021. Sada Aisha Prime, founder, Baraka Inn, 7:45 p.m. Friday, 2nd April 2021. Plus interactive women fix session by Ustaza Fatima, Aye Bajeje, and Dr. Tawakat Dabiwi. Hot debate discussions, interviews, and more. What are you waiting for? Share the message, share the reward. See Bounty social handles, posters, and newspapers for details.
وأن تصوموا خير لكم إن